When I'm not being somewhat confused by the amount of stamps it takes to ship a guitar from China to the United States, I like to answer questions and comments I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. Definitely want to see a video on the strumming. Okay, so this is part of a video I posted the other day about just some kind of different chord voicings and stuff that are great for acoustic accompaniment. It's on minor 11 chords mostly, and really just utilizing closed chord voicings to help in your playing. I will link you to that if you want to watch that, but I do think the strumming of that is really interesting. Basically, it sounds like this. So, it seems like a pretty busy type of thing, but a lot of people have questions on that. So I want to talk about just the strumming of this. And this is something that I honed over years of doing the restaurant gigs as just an acoustic guitar player with like either myself singing or with another person singing. And basically filling the space and adding a percussive element and leaving no eighth note unsullied, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with a B minor 11 chord, and we're gonna start doing the rhythm with this. All right, so my middle finger is on the 7th fret of the E string. This is a B. I'm skipping the A string, going 7 and 7 on the D and G string with my ring finger and my pinky, and then my pointer finger is gonna grab the 5th fret on the B string. You can also omit the pointer finger and just do like a B minor 7 chord voicing. But the nice thing about even just having your pointer finger on the B string is it helps you close this voice, right? What I mean by that is not having a bunch of open strings that you have to deal with, okay? I think this is a really important part of this lesson, to close the voicing and have complete control over the open or closed vibration of the strings, all right? So that's number one. But doing it in a way that also you're not barring the chord, right? This isn't a bar chord at all. Even though it has a fancy name, B minor 11, it's actually way easier to play than a B minor chord, right? Because doing something like this will for sure fatigue your hand over like a 3-hour set or something like that. Now, what I mean by leaving no eighth note unturned is really counting it in a way, even if you're not, you know, intentionally counting it, feeling the count. So what I mean by that is like a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's basically it. I've got 2 bars of 4 and I'm really feeling every single eighth note. So I'm gonna slow it down. Okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm gonna do this with a pick first and I'll talk about finger style. But what I'm doing here, and I think the most slept down part of this is how your fretting hand really affects this, okay? So basically we're trying to emulate what a drum kit is doing in a mix. And that's usually kick on the 1, snare on the 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and kick, snare, hi-hat stuff and snare, kick a snare, tick a snare, right? So the snare is gonna be a percussive higher end of the string, okay? Now, like I said, the most slept down part is how, for me, as a right-handed guitar player, your left hand is actually vibing along with that count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Now it's really hard to see, but I'm not keeping a consistent amount of pressure on the chord. If I kept that chord the whole time, this strumming pattern would sound like this. Which maybe that's what you're going for, but when you close the voice and then your left hand starts selectively muting, what I mean by that is I'm just letting the pressure off the strings, so I just get a deadened strum, a deadened strike, rhythmically, percussively. That really opens up the chord to either sing on top of, maybe like another instrumentalist is playing over it, something like that. But that is probably the most important thing, right? And what the thing that I've noticed really trying to break this down, because so much of this is kind of hard to teach because it just happens naturally after you do it a lot, is that 3 that I was talking about, or the snare would usually go with the drum kit. I'm almost always just muting that. So I'm letting this go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if I mute the whole chord, it sounds like this, okay? And And this is gonna be the next thing we're gonna talk about. Sorry if this lesson seems all over the place, but there's like a lot of different things that kind of go into this one pattern that I think are gonna help you over time. But now, so now we're gonna think of the left hand and how it's selectively muting. Now let's talk about the eighth notes with the picking hand, okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you'll notice that the 3 is definitely gonna be a longer strike through the string set. Now the 1 is where a kick would go, so a kick is a very low sound. So that's why we're getting the bass note, the root note of the chord in there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You'll notice that I'm not getting all 6 strings ever. I'm selectively breaking the string set down into like a more manageable thing where it sounds like maybe I'm doing more than just staying in one spot, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But the hand is always steady, right? So the hand is always kind of like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now you'll notice that even with just the hand, there's a dynamic there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Like that second bar, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's where the and is always going to be an upstroke. The number is always going to be downstroke. 1 and 2 and snare and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. See when I kind of exaggerate it? I'm getting a little bit more of a dynamic. I'm hitting it a little harder. Try to get that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If you can count it, you can strum it, okay? So try to do this. And keep working on that while I tell you about the sponsor of today's video, DistroKid. DistroKid is how you get your music online. It is the only way to do it. It is by far the most inexpensive service that you'll get in all of music. It's way cheaper than even just like renting a plugin or something like that. DistroKid is how I upload my songs to Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. Super easy. You can do it from your phone. They have an app that you can just do from your phone now. It doesn't even have to be a song. You could really, one thing that I tell people all the time, and they don't do this, you could totally troll your friends just by making a song where you're just kind of like reading a bunch of insults to them and then put that on Spotify, send them a Spotify link. And what greater way to really troll your friends for such an inexpensive amount of money. I also did a video a couple months ago where I surprised just got like an extra $1,500 from DistroKid because somehow one of my songs was used as a sound on TikTok and it got like millions and millions and millions of placements on TikTok, and that just ended up buying me a new laptop. So that's a sneaky surprise that you don't usually get in today's day and age. So again, check out DistroKid. You get a discount off of it using my affiliate link if you guys are interested. And they've been a huge supporter of the channel over the years. So this is a service that I used way before I even started working with them. And by far, it's the best deal that you'll find as far as getting your music or anything else online. Super easy to use, and they're just cool people, cool independent, you know, just cool business with cool people that you should definitely use if you're getting your music online, which you should be, and you're gonna be, because now you got this fire rhythm to get going with, right? Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that the 1 is always going to be actually sounded out. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay? So maybe let's break this into a little bit more manageable thing. Let's start with just the first 3 beats. 1 and 2 and 3. 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 See how I'm kind of get that? And it's like down, up, down, up, down. Again, you don't even have to say that because the numbers are always going to be down. 1 and 2 and 3. And now I'm kind of aiming for the middle strings. 1 and 2 and 3. E, D, A, D, string set. 1 and 2 and 3. And when I say the string set, I'm kind of aiming just for like the highest 3 strings. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. G major 7. Again, if you watched that other video, you notice that my favorite major 7 voicing is the root note on the E string, 3rd fret. Ring and pinky are still stuck together on the 4th fret, D and G string, middle finger, 3rd fret of the B string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Little transition in between the B and the G. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. This is a great one. A7, 5, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Great place to start. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Then when you get that down, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Even if you're not playing the notes, just get that and 4 and with just a muted strum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Again, do it as slow as you need to. And once you get that pattern down, it's not just about learning this pattern. It's like once you can kind of feel a count like that, everything gets a lot better. Let's do it with our fingers now, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Now there's a couple different ways to do this. Okay, so now you'll notice that the volume kind of came down, right? That is an advantage to using your fingers. You can do a little more intricate things. Now, basically my thumb is responsible for the bass notes, really just the E string on this. Now what I'm doing here is my pointer, middle, and ring finger are getting the D, G, and B strings. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Same thing, okay? Now that 3 is still kind of a muted with my left hand, holding it, and then just getting my nails on the strings. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But now the upstrokes are more the chord being hit with my fingers kind of coming up through the strings. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And you get that click. That click on the 3 count is what you really want to get every single time. So anyways, it's a lot to think about, but if you really start it slow, again, using a pick is actually kind of preferred because you can hear maybe where you're a little off, where you're a little late, but I really think that 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 is a great place to start. Then when you have that, add another bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then once you have that down, maybe you start adding licks in there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But really getting that steady. And then once, again, I think you'll be surprised. Once you can do it slow, you'll be able to do it a lot faster, way sooner than you think. Anyways, that's a lot to work on, so get going on it.
Your videos doesn't keep repeating the same thing over and over, like they're intentionally trying not to teach anything.
If only there was a way on the internet where you could make the video repeat a certain section over and over, so the person teaching it doesn't have to anticipate how many times you specifically need something repeated for it to sink in. If only there was a feature on YouTube that you could somehow rewind time to get that information repeated to you so your tiny, tiny brain can hear it just enough times for it to make sense. If only. How'd you play A-Team in that key? It works better with my voice. Well, I'm happy to say it that I'm uploading an A-Team lesson to my Patreon later today. I just did this video with Alexa. We took the new Sheer and Busker out to the Santa Monica Boardwalk on the windiest day of the year, and it was actually kind of wild. And the wind, I brought my laptop with to record the direct audio out, which sounded phenomenal. But I was worried about that. A gust of wind actually picked my laptop up and threw it into. It was wild to see. But yeah, doing an 18 lesson. That's probably my favorite Ed Sheeran song for sure. And it's an easy one to learn that is fun to play. So check out the Patreon if you just want to learn more songs and an entire set list to get your busk on, because that is going up on the Patreon later today. How are you releasing so much content? Is this AI? It's been AI the entire time. In fact, the content has been pretty fire. I've had a couple milestones recently. Hit 500,000 last week. Thank you to everybody who congratulated me on that. Also released a signature Marten guitar, which you can pre-order now. You guys got to get those. They're gonna fly off the shelves once I actually get the real one coming in. So yeah, that's still kind of blowing my mind that I have a signature Marten guitar. But it's I think about it and I just laugh because I cannot actually believe it. So yeah. It does seem like maybe this is AI because in no world should that have happened, but it did. So check out the Marten signature guitar. Also, the content this was talking about was I was at the Marten Museum doing my fall photo shoot and checking out the signature guitar, where I accidentally climbed into one of the displays and triggered a silent alarm that scrambled a police task force. So that was a great video that happened this week that was not AI generated. Another one is when we went out to a pirate-themed Airbnb, which is probably my funniest video I've ever made. So I'm gonna link that too because it's too good. The pirate fitness video aspect of that is very underappreciated and slept on. So as a way for you to celebrate my 500,000 subscriber / Marten signature guitar, go watch the pirate vlog. It's pretty funny. All right, for listening homework today, I'm gonna throw you to Billie Marten. So good, really peak indie sad girl vibes. That I love. It's just so good. So on a chill fall day, sets the vibe, sets the mood perfectly. Check that out. Thank you to DistroKid for sponsoring the video. Like I said, use my affiliate link in the description to get a percentage off of the annual fee for it. And if you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section of the website, and I will talk to you all soon. Thanks for watching.